The next morning, Ozan stood outside the blue and white Halkbank building, his hair perfectly coiffed thanks to Blago's scissors. "You look like a millionaire," Tariq said, adjusting his own collar. "Surely, looking this sharp will finally convince someone in there to speak Turkish, or at least understand our banking needs." Ozan nodded confidently, holding his documents like a shield. They entered the cool, air-conditioned lobby. At the front desk sat Mila, a woman whose glasses were so thick they made her eyes look like giant marbles. Ozan approached her with a bright smile. "Merhaba, Turkish?" he asked hopefully. Mila blinked slowly, tilted her head, and replied with a long, melodic sentence in Macedonian that sounded like a beautiful poem but meant absolutely nothing to Ozan. Ozan decided to use the universal language of gestures. He mimed the act of counting bills and then pointed to his folder. Mila's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. She began to move her fingers in the air, mimicking a different motion, pressing keys. "Piano?" she asked in English, her face beaming. She thought Ozan was asking for the nearest music conservatory. Before Ozan could correct her, a tall, thin teller named Zoran walked over. He was wearing a tie so bright it looked like a neon sunset. Remembering his lesson from the barber shop, Ozan pointed at Zoran's neck. "Nice cravat?" Ozan said, trying to be polite. Zoran's face went pale. He clutched his tie protectively and whispered something to Mila about Turkish cow thieves. Zoran, determined to be helpful despite his suspicion, reached under the counter. Instead of a withdrawal form, he pulled out a stack of glossy, purple flyers. He handed one to Tariq. It featured a picture of a man playing a saxophone. "Balkan jazz," Zoran announced loudly. He seemed convinced that these two well-dressed men were clearly in town for the music festival and nothing else. Tariq pulled out his phone, opening a translation app. He typed bank account access and hit the translate button. He showed the screen to Mila. The app, struggling with the context, translated the phrase into something that meant storage shed by the riverbank. Mila frowned, then pointed out the window toward the Vardar River, looking concerned that they wanted to live in a shed. Just as Ozan was about to give up and start singing jazz to fit in, the heavy glass doors swung open. In walked Vocal, the young apprentice from the barber shop, carrying a small bag of coins to deposit. He spotted Ozan, and his face broke into a wide grin. "Hey, cowman!" Vocal shouted across the silent bank lobby, waving his arms wildly. Vocal rushed over and began a rapid-fire explanation to Mila and Zoran in Macedonian. He pointed at Ozan's hair, then at Zoran's tie, and finally made a mooing sound that echoed off the high ceilings. Mila and Zoran both froze, then slowly started to giggle. The cowman mystery was finally solved, and the jazz piano misunderstanding was cleared. Mila wiped a tear of laughter from her eye and spoke to Vocal. Vocal turned to Ozan. She say, "The Turkish manager, Mr. Demir, he is not here. He is at Destin, eating kofte. Always at lunch. He checked his watch. He stay there 2 hours. Very long lunch." Mila handed Ozan a VIP ticket with a smiley face drawn on it, signaling that they should come back later. Ozan and Tariq walked back out into the bright Skopje sun, followed by Vocal. "So," Tariq said, looking at the jazz flyer in his hand, "no money, no tie, but we have a VIP ticket for a manager who lives at the meatball shop." Ozan laughed, adjusted his hair, and pointed down the street. "In this city, the bank follows the stomach. Let's go find Mr. Demir and his kofte."